Welcome to our friends online. We're glad you're joining us this morning. I invite you into our opening prayer. Let us just take a moment to arrive fully, to soften the body and quiet the mind and open our hearts. We acknowledge the sacred moving through all things, the wisdom that listens, and the love that receives. Today we honor a great remembering within us, the return to balance, the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. May we feel both energies harmonizing within our being. May we open to new ways of knowing and new ways of leading, new ways of allowing life to move through us with grace, courage, and compassion. We open our hearts and our minds now to the wisdom that will be shared through Reverend Madge, trusting that the message we receive is exactly the one our soul is ready to hear. And so it is. I welcome Reverend Madge to the podium.
All right. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. So before I get started on my message, I want to acknowledge what's happening in our nation right now. It doesn't matter what side of the political divide that we stand on, and it's still, there's heart-wrenching events that are happening. And we have people in our congregation on both sides of the point of views, and it's beautiful to me. I love that we can come together in love and that we can not allow that to divide us here in our sanctuary and in our community together. And I really believe that we're a living example of what can and should be. And I so deeply appreciate each and every one of you for that. So I'm not going to focus on this, and I'm not going to bring it into our environment or our services. But I also felt like that I needed to clarify that I'm not sticking my head in the sand by not addressing these things from this position. And I'm not living in a toxic positivity state of mind, la, 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 la kind of thing. And because our home center, our home spiritual center, is a place of neutrality and upliftment and community and empowerment. And so it's a place where we can come together and where we can be in a state of joy and remember our heart center, come back to our heart, so that we can strengthen ourselves before we go back out into the world and back out into whatever environment it is that we come in from. We can connect here with our higher purpose so that when we return home, we have a sense of strength and resolve in our heart. And so here at Home Center, I want to make sure that we always offer that place where we can just rest and reconnect and remember who we are. You know, the news is out there. We can just pick up our device and know instantly what's happening in the world. But we need a place where we can come to and rest and come back to ourselves and to each other and give each other hugs, recharge our batteries, fill up our hearts with goodness and the thrill of being together in community. So that's what I hold for us. And I just want to make sure that you know that I'm not sticking my head in the sand or being positively negative. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So as a segue into the message, I have this reading that I want to share, a real short one. So to anyone finding their way through their own dark night, whatever the circumstances, you are not broken. You are becoming. There are treasures to be found in the caves, in the long dark night, and the dawn always comes. Just wanted to remind us of that too. So now to get into the message. So the message is transitioning from the inside out. And as we know, we're going through some massive transitions. Have you noticed? Yeah. Just a little bit, right? So our world is changing before our eyes. And I know that it's no surprise to anyone here. I'm preaching to the choir on that one. We've talked about it up here in different ways from different angles. But I want to talk about it what I think is a little differently today than what we have addressed it before. And this is from the perspective of the masculine and the feminine aspects of our existence. As we're all familiar with the yin yang symbol and the symbol of the masculine and the feminine, the dark and the light. And it's a true representation of the masculine energy and the feminine energies. And the feminine is dark and the masculine is light. The feminine is the negative charge and the masculine is the positive charge. And that doesn't mean that positive is good and negative is bad. It's not from our judgment point of view. It's just energy. We don't look at a battery that has a plus and a minus on the ends and say, "Ooh, that's the good end and that's the bad end." That's just the way energy moves. That's the circuit. So our masculine and feminine is both ends of that circuit. So we're all masculine and feminine energies within us. And it's not about gender. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal. We all have positive and negative charges within us. We all have positive, negative, and or masculine and feminine. The energy within us, there's an energy of giving, and then there's an energy of receiving. And there's an energy going outward, and there's an energy coming inward. And the energy of being of service, and an energy of brute strength. And it's all complete within us as our energies turn. We all have that flow of energy, and it's important that we come into balance in our spiritual wholeness and to understand that the transition that we're going through is predominantly, or has been predominantly, in the masculine, and the feminine is emerging. The balance of the feminine is emerging. And remembering those energies and remembering that balance within us that each and every one of us carry for us to express out into the world. We call the earth our mother earth. She is the ultimate mother. She's the ultimate feminine. And we plant a seed deep into her dirt, into that dark, rich soil. And then we carefully cover it up with more dirt, right? Making it very dark in the experience of growing a seed. So it has to be in the dark to grow new life. And this is the sacred feminine, creating and fostering life. The seed grows into the expression of what it's going to become, reaching for the sun, reaching for the light. And life can't happen without both the dark and the light, the masculine and the feminine, the positive and the negative. A baby grows within the mother, surrounded by the darkness of her womb. The baby doesn't have to do anything. It just receives. It's completely surrounded in the divine feminine. And it receives the life force directly from the mother, the feminine. And then it's birthed into the light, symbolizing the entry into the external world, the masculine energy, the activity, the independence, the outward focus. And as the baby emerges from the protective darkness of the womb into the brightness of light, it is dependent now on the external forces to sustain it, for nutrition, for protection. And it marks the transition from an inward nurturing environment to living life based on what comes at it, what comes from the outside. So we're created in darkness, and our soul comes in through darkness, but then emerges into this third dimension where we live in what comes through the light to us. And we experience the world now from looking outward at what comes to us. And we experience it from the outside in during this time of our existence. And we look into our world to see what's coming at us. and we look out at our world for what our needs are. What do I need out there? I need love from my parents. I look to my parents for love, look to my parents for protection, for nutrition. Then later it's in our adult life, it's from our job, looking, where's my job out there? Where can I earn an income? Those are all masculine energies that come to us. And it continues on throughout our life. And then as we start on our spiritual journey or our self-discovery, or we start seeking our purpose or asking the bigger questions, we have to go inward. We have to go back in and do internal exploration. And once again, we're back into the darkness of our soul to find our authentic self. And this journey back into ourselves is a journey back to the feminine energy. We have to go inward. So no wonder the feminine has been squelched and suppressed for so many years. To go inside one's heart is sometimes the scariest place to go. We'd rather fight the external battles than go in here and look at what treasure troves we've stored away in here. The ego and the arrogance doesn't really want to know what's in those dark depths of our soul. So it keeps going outward. And sadly, because of this suppression, humanity has been missing out on the best part of our human experience so far. But not for long, because the divine feminine is rising in all of us and in our society and in the collective. And we're going to come into balance. Knowing who you are in a deeper sense means that you are in the presence of this divine moment. And that's what we discover when we go inward. Oh, there I am. I'm here now. I'm in this now moment. What does it mean to be awakening? You know, that word is used all the time. Oh, awakening this, awakening that. And sometimes I think, really? What does it really mean? What does that really mean? It's the word that's kind of just thrown around almost as the new word of the day in a sense. But what it means, at least to me, is we are waking up to the knowledge and the remembering that we are more than our physical body. We're waking up in this third dimension of our physicality, and we're remembering that we're spirit. We're going, oh, I'm just not this. There's more to me than that. And that we're a part of the divine. And that we're a part of the greater story of God expressing itself. And we're waking up to that knowing that we are divine beings and we're powerful beyond our imagination. To me, that's what the awakening is. And as we go inward more and more, which is the direction of the soul, as Michael Meade always says, the soul is downward energy. That's, you go to your soul, you go down. Even music, soul music is down. It's solid, it's grounded, you know. Soul is down. And the divine feminine, as we're going more into the divine feminine, or as the divine feminine is being, as we say, rising, but it's becoming awakened and not afraid, we're discovering these truths about ourselves and the world around us and the collective. The divine feminine is rising and bringing these truths not only within us, but within the collective and in the conscious awareness. These truths that we're discovering when we explore the inside of us is launching us outward into our doing. So it's this beautiful weaving. We discover something within us, and then we go outward to express it and experience it. We're discovering it and expressing it in our relationships, and in which is our divine masculine. Our external expression is the divine masculine. But in this deep place of balance that is coming comes this beautiful wisdom. You know, as we discover this wisdom in here, then we want to express it and share it. And we act upon it then. So we discover it in the feminine and we express it in the masculine. So as we are engaged in our 3D world of doing, performing, achieving, striving, working hard, for what we get in the world and so on, we're operating in the masculine. I think you probably got that picture by now. Our energy and our focus are from the inside, however. And our spiritual journey always takes us inward into the feminine. And as we become awakened spiritually, we start remembering or realizing that our world now is created on the inside out. And a lot of quantum physics and a lot of this information about manifestation is pointing inward. What we see out here is the expression of what we've got in here. And that's the balance of the feminine and the masculine. So we create our world from our feminine, and we become more awakened. And the more that we become awakened, we realize that we are the creators, and then we have to take the responsibility for our life situation or what we're experiencing, even if we don't understand it, even if we're a victim of circumstances and unfortunate events. If we can be at peace with, I am the creator of my world, so what do I need to do differently? It's a huge step. I remember when Joe was alive, and my late husband, he would often watch shows about overcoming challenges. That was some of his favorite shows. And one of the shows that he would watch is the Naked and Afraid. Yeah. And, it's a show where they pair people up and you have to take off all your clothes and all you get is a tool of your choosing. And then you go out into the wilderness and survive for about 3 weeks. Yeah, not for me. No. Well, in one of these episodes, there was this great big guy, big, strong, arrogant guy. And he was going out with this smaller, kind of a small framed, seemingly not very strong woman, at least, physically. Well, his attitude was so out of balance. And he was doing the proverbial pounding on his chest. I'm going to show the mother this, and I'm going to conquer her. And I mean, it was so offensive. It's just, and of course it was laced with all these words that I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to show her who's boss. And oh man, he was just getting really, really out there. So of course I had to sit down and watch that show. Normally I just cruised through the room or I could hear it in the other room, but that one really captured my attention. And I thought, man, he's in trouble. That mother is going to get him. So I had to watch to see how she got him. I just thought, boy, she's going to whoop his behind like a good mother would with that kind of an attitude. And sure enough, the guy didn't even last but a few days. And he tapped out. And here's this little lady who seemed dainty and not very strong. She survived the entire time by herself. And just with her guts and her tenacity and wisdom from within, it was great. I had to say, I was very proud of her. So I hope that he came back into balance with some humility, some humbleness after that experience. I don't know what the follow-up was, but anyway, to me, it's a great example of the masculine being out of balance and what it takes from the divine feminine to teach us. And it can be the reverse too. It can be so out of balance with the divine feminine in our wounded weakness or our victimization or poor me or ooh, take care of me. I can't do it myself. That's out of balance too. And life is going to bring us challenges that say, yeah, you're stronger than you think you are. Engage in your doing and show us what you're made of, kind of thing. So the mother doesn't teach us, or the father doesn't teach us in mean ways. It might feel like it. It'd be tough ways. That's called tough love. And they'll teach us with tough love. But to have our masculine and our feminine balance doesn't mean it's 50-50 either. It means that our inner world and our outer world work in harmony with each other. It's having seen what's on the outer world in our masculine, and then recognizing what's coming in with our from our creative self, or vice versa. So we can be totally in our feminine and our creative energy and the inward exploration of our landscape, and then come out and then express it. And that's not a 50-50. It's more like probably an 80-20, and then it reverses when we take action upon our internal discoveries. And then we're allowing our feminine energies so we can to support our masculine energies. And sometimes that means resting, when we feel that deep need to rest. That's stepping into our feminine energies and listening to that inner voice. So the imbalance can also show us being that we can be so busy that we don't take time to listen to that inner wisdom. That's denying the divine feminine within us when we've got stuff in here and we don't want to look at it, so we just stay real busy out here, and it will eventually rise up and speak to us. So we might as well just take the time and handle it with grace when it starts talking loud. So the feminine energy thrives in reflection, and it helps you to have your emotions, to feel your emotions fully, and your intuition and your sense that things are shifting beneath your feet. Those kind of sensories is what we feel with our feminine energy. And we trust, and we hear the inner whisper. We hear the whispering hope in the song that we played today. And the masculine energy turns that wisdom now into movement. And that's what helps us set boundaries and stay consistent and take alignment with the action towards what we intuitively in our creative inner landscape felt and discovered. Then we switch over and we take action on it. This is what I'm going to do. So growth isn't just about strategy and surrender, those two diabolical opposites. It's about weaving the two. It's about meditating, then taking action. It's about dreaming and then building upon those dreams. It's about feeling and then moving. So the divine feminine is emerging in our world, and people are waking up to the knowing that they have a divine relationship of their own, waking up to this imbalance of authority, where they're waking up to being sovereign beings. And this wisdom comes from the divine feminine, and she is rising in all of us, in our collective consciousness and in our unconscious. And our job now is to embrace what she is bringing forward and weaving both aspects of the feminine and our masculine into our own rhythm and action, not in violence, but divine peace. Emulating Christ and Buddha and all the other luminaries that have come before us. So let's just, in closing, I want to read this little saying. I just really appreciated it when I saw it this morning. I want to share it with you. Religion without humanity is mere performance. Spirituality without kindness is an illusion. And faith without compassion is empty noise. I love that, isn't it? We got to come into our hearts. So let's take a moment and let's just connect with the balance of the masculine and feminine within us. So close your eyes and get yourself comfortable and drop into your heart and see in your heart that symbol of the yin yang energies, that symbol of the black and the white swirling in motion. It's not static or stagnant. It's in the motion of, or in the shape of motion of turning, knowing that the wheel turns between our two halves of our expression, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And between these two, we feel the wholeness and the completeness. Another way that we can see it is in the infinity sign. We can see one end of the infinity sign within our physical form in the darkness of our internal landscape, and then coming out into the light, into the expression of what we discovered in the treasures within. And just see this motion going back and forth, the internal world and the external world, balanced. Internal world is feeling, discovery, our senses, our alignments, and then we see that coming back out in movement into the external world, where it's aligning with the life we're creating, alignment with our higher self of expression, alignment in the creativity of the world around us. We could just see this motion coming back and forth, or round and round, in our wholeness of our spiritual expression. This is how we are created, to be creators while we're here on earth. This perfect design, this design of free will, and divine expression. And so it is. So as you feel comfortable, bring yourself back to the room. All right. Guys back? All right. So now we're going to do our offering to the home center or support of the home center, whatever works for you. Jerry's going to come around with a basket. There's PayPal, has a QR code. So as we prepare our offering for the home center, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, generosity, and sacred intention. We know that we are part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket comes around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and for the continued support of our good works. And so it is. All right. I'm going to invite Jennifer back up to share something and give our closing prayer.
Right. What a lovely message. Thank you so much. And as a reminder on that topic, we also have the Sacred Feminine altar here on site, right here in the courtyard, and then the Sacred Masculine. It's still being built, but you're welcome to go visit there too. So
definitely active.
Yes. Right. So I wanted to share a little. It was a parable or a story, but it's about river and its banks. The river believed its job was to give, to keep flowing, pouring itself out endlessly. But one day it noticed that when it rushed too hard, it flooded everything around it and it lost its way. The banks believed their job was to hold, to contain, to give shape, to create direction. But when the banks became too rigid, the river slowed and dried up and forgot how to sing. Eventually, the river and the banks realized they were never meant to compete. The river needed the banks to guide its flow, and the banks needed the river to stay alive. And when they worked together, the water nourished the land, life grew along the edges, and abundance became a shared experience. So as we give and receive this morning, may our offering be that reminder that circulation is sacred and that balance creates beauty. And that when we allow energy to move freely, everyone is nourished. So I thought that kind of matched Reverend Madge's message this morning. So I invite you to join me in our closing prayer. As we prepare to return to our lives, we pause to integrate maybe what was stirred or remembered, or maybe what was awakened. May the divine masculine within us stand steady in clarity and purpose and right action, protecting what is sacred. May the divine feminine within us move freely in intuition and creativity and deep knowing, fully expressed and honored. May these energies walk together within us, balanced and aligned, guiding our choices, our relationships, and the way of being in the world. May we carry this harmony into our homes, our work, and our communities, becoming living expressions of this balance, compassion, and true conscious love. With gratitude for this time that we've shared, we release this prayer into the infinite. And so it is. Thank you to our friends joining us online. Hope to see you in person soon. Thanks.